Cool. All right. You know what? You just just send me your invoice for your consultation services, and
So in the podcast, usually the questions I planned to ask were just real questions because everyone I'm speaking to, I don't really know them. So I thought that what would be the kind of questions I could ask that would make me get to know them better as a person and all sorts of things. So what do you think like makes you happy?
what makes me happy? Oh, that's like one of those questions where it's like it should be a simple answer, but then it's
Yeah, but
like
it's
you like start to think
complicated.
about it. Yeah, you know, like
Yeah.
definitely like just creating. It's like it really makes me happy, and I didn't realize how happy it made me until I started like making my own things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what I was doing was for Gary or for Vintage Talent, and that was cool. Like I enjoy it, but it was like once I like really like consciously started like making my own things or making stuff outside of work, then I was like, oh, I really enjoy this. So yeah, that of course. Recently got married, so that's makes
Oh,
that
wow, good
makes
for
me
you.
happy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I mean that's like a whole new phase in life, but definitely, in order to stay happy, there's no way I couldn't mention that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I'm like very low key, very like down to earth, very chill. So I usually like keep pretty even kill, but like I've really like recently realized that like just creating things that like I'm proud of, like because I mean one thing with sometimes when you're just doing stuff for clients on a regular basis, you're not even really making it for you.
Huh.
It's like you know, to make them happy and make sure that they're good with it.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But then once I started making stuff, like whether I like maybe like at the beginning of the year, I just started like me and a friend just started a podcast, and it was just for the sake of like, all right, cool, let's do something different. Like we have no idea what we're doing. We don't even know if we're like it's just, but it's like fun to just create in another way, and then have people kind of look forward to it. Now it's like, wait, what? Like this was just like a fun thing. We didn't even know we were going to be doing it this long. But yeah, so I think creating is like really what
How
makes
cool.
me happy.
So, do you think that you're happy now?
For sure. How about you? Are you happy?
It's a funny question, I know. So, yes and no, because I feel like I'm grateful. That's where a lot of happiness comes from, you know, like with your family and home and everything, things are good. But
Yeah.
from the other side, I feel like I don't feel fulfilled. I feel like I have so much to give as a person, and I haven't
Yeah.
found that one thing that I feel like I can contribute. So this whole journey of even me kind of documenting, doing vlogs or doing the podcast is kind of like just figuring out what is it that I have to offer. Like, you know, that one thing. Like, you know, if you're into filmmaking
Yeah.
or someone's into fitness or something like that. But I wasn't sure exactly what it is. And therefore, just that, I'm kind of figuring that out.
Are you like closer to figuring that out? Or are you like still like it could be anything? Like you thought it was podcasting, but it could be like you have become like a veterinarian and you like
It's not so
like
much about podcasts. I feel like what I'm discovering is that I'm good with people, and I love just, you know, connecting with people, having a conversation and building with them. And the whole podcast was called it's called Building Community for the reason that I wanted to connect people, like-minded people who are good people who want to be successful and who are working towards it, and kind of come together and, you know, like just share the journey together instead of like just doing everything on our own. And I thought that was an interesting side to it. I feel like that is I see myself gravitating towards it, but I'm not, you know, like kind of working or doing something of that sort. I just like kind of got over with school, and
gotcha.
so I feel like that is where a lot of I don't know, I wouldn't say emptiness, but there's some kind of gap that I don't know, I'm trying to fill, I guess.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. But I mean, that could be your thing. You could be like looking to fill it, and you could be filling it already. Like I was like doing a little research on some of the ones that you did before. And I mean, yeah. So just like it is interesting because at first the first person I watched, it was like, oh yeah, like, well, I don't really know you. So I was like, oh, maybe she just did one with somebody she doesn't know. But then I saw another one where it was like, oh yeah, I don't really know you, but it's cool. That could be like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so this is like a thing, like, which is fine. Like, I feel like that's super cool to like do podcasts or like talk to people like publicly that you don't really know, and like you actually see like people who watch this or watch any of the other ones, you get to see people, like you become like basically friends, or like get to know people on the spot, and that could be a thing because it's not really you could just be like a connector. That could be your thing of just like connecting people, whether it's creatively, it's inspirationally, whatever it is. And you know that could really, you think that like, oh, I'm searching for this thing, but then like you look up and you've like connected hundreds of people together, and you're like, oh, this is what I was thing that I thought I was like trying to find. I found it like a year ago when I started the podcast. So yeah, it's an interesting journey. But yeah, I saw that you like said you like stopped doing school and all that stuff. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I was paying attention. I did a little research. I was doing some research. Yeah.
I'm glad.
But yeah, no, that you never know.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like how Gary speaks about, right, that there are entrepreneurs and then there are successful entrepreneurs. So I feel like whatever I'm trying to do, it's interesting, but I kind of wanted to be more solid, and not just in like money terms, but actually executed in a smart and proper way. I feel like at least I'm finding something, like just kind of building it up. So I believe like with time we find opportunities, and just kind of like trying to do that. So yeah, that's the answer.
Exactly. That's cool. Like like you said, the key thing there is like it's gonna take time, and it's just like so. Yeah, like I don't know how long you've been like how long have you been focused on like the podcast portion
just
of like, just trying to like really
a month.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's been a month. This is episode 7, 8, 7.
Yeah, I guess 7.
So, yeah. So. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. 7 in a month. It's not bad. That's 7 people. That's the thing. It's not anything crazy. Like I have a client who preaches the idea of like doing something different. Just trying to do something different. Once a month. If you could do something different that you wouldn't normally do once a month. And so that's in a month. You just met 7 new people that a month ago you had no idea who they were.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a real thing because you never know. Like cool. Like now I feel like I'm gonna know it's Devika,
yes.
Devika.
Yeah.
So it's like, like a week ago before you hit me up, I had no idea who you are. Yeah. Now I know who you are, and we're having like a real conversation. So it's like, cool. Like now I'm gonna be on the lookout. Like, oh, okay, she has another podcast. Who is she's talking to now? Or like, you know, and I'm sure like the other people, like nobody's gonna. I feel like anybody who has no intention of like really being like just genuine is gonna sit down and like talk to you for 30, 40 minutes an hour. So, you know, you're like building real connections right now that you never know. It takes time. Like tomorrow, like a year from now, somebody that you talk to be like, oh yeah, I know this girl Devika. She was super cool. I met her, got this opportunity, and now like I want to reach out. So that's all it is. It's not like you said. You're a Gary fan, so like it's never like the quick play. It's always like you're building towards something long term. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I had this huge complaint that I don't have a lot of people in town. I need a mic. I need this. I need that. And then I just really cut the cord and I was like, why can't we just do it on Skype and just connect with people over the internet? And the whole goal about that was that I don't know these people, obviously, but that shouldn't matter. Because no matter how different all of us are, no matter how, all of us are from like different countries, different ethnicity or whatever, right? But then we talk as human beings because everyone's kind of going through the same thing, right? They're like basic problems everyone has, right? Like health, relationship, money, or something of that sort. So instead of like focusing on how different all of us are, like just let's focus on how similar all of us are and kind of how we can help each other build together. Because it's hard, like when you're hustling or when you're just kind of doing your thing, you don't have a lot of people who are supporting you, I feel like, right? Like when you're on your path or whatever. And I feel like all of us together could be there for each other in some sort of way. That all of us know that all of us are kind of going through something together instead of like just being alone or whatever. So yeah, that was the goal.
Well, I think you're doing everything right so far. So no, that's cool.
Thank you.
I'm cool. I'm happy to be here. If I didn't say that already. Yeah, this is cool.
So how did you find about Garyvee?
I was working for him for a couple of years. Actually through D-Rock. I went to go do the interview, and before I could even do it, Gary hired me. So before I even met him, he like hired me, and the rest is history.
How cool! So you live in New York, and that's how you guys got in touch and everything?
So yeah, at the time I was actually living in I was living in Pennsylvania. D-Rock was living in New York. D-Rock told me that like I got the job because I hadn't started looking for places to live in New York or anything. And while I was in Pennsylvania, D-Rock just called me and was like, "Yeah, you got it." So then I was living with D-Rock for a few weeks until I found a place in New York.
So were you
Yeah.
always into like photography and filmmaking before you got into it?
So in college, like I went to college for just to kind of learn the basics. Well, ever since high school, just kind of learning the basics. The high school is really when I like took a liking, like really trying to like take it seriously. And I was like, oh, it's interesting. And then yeah, from there, and then college was doing it. Like I would do it. Me and D-Rock would do it like every weekend. Like I would, like he was living in New York, I was living in Pennsylvania. I would like go to New York, like and like just stay with him for the weekend, and we would just go out and shoot stuff. And film.
How
Always
cool.
been a passion.
How was your experience working at for Gary in the office and everything?
It's cool. I mean, it's definitely a hold on to your seatbelt kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was like earlier. It wasn't even like how it is now, where he's like really pumping out like content like all the time.
Yeah.
This was like when it was like when he was like really starting to ramp up. So like when Ask Garyvee was like more frequent, like doing a lot of that stuff. But still, it's just like it's like every day is like a learning experience.
Yeah.
Which is like the best education. It's super cool. Like it's definitely an experience where it's like if you get the opportunity, like you'll definitely learn way more if you work for him for a week than working, going to school or doing anything, just because it's like so hands-on.
Now what are you doing? Are you like working for clients or are you like building up content for yourself?
So yeah, so now I still work at VaynerMedia, but I work in the Vayner Talent Division, which is basically what we used to do for Gary, or what Team Gary does for Gary.
Yeah.
We do for other people.
So how are you liking that now? Are you enjoying working there?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to be able to see other people kind of start. Some clients have a good amount of following already, and some are like starting from zero, like they have nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's always good to see like that growth and like really see it start from nothing and then to see it like go up to now we're like at conferences with them with them or anywhere, and like people want to take pictures with them and all that stuff, and like knowing that came directly from like the work we've done with them is pretty cool.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I did not know that they were also signing people who kind of came up from like zero to building up.
Yeah. So it's I mean it's all depending on if you're the right client. I mean a lot of our clients are like really successful in their space. They just like people just have no idea who they are. So like they're very like they have the background to like back up like everything we're trying to do for them. So it's not like we're trying to like force it or make it up. Like most of them are already successful either. Yeah. High clients in another person's business or have their own business that's doing well. And so it just makes it, it makes it easier for us because it's like we're not really trying to sell anything that isn't there. It's just like bringing awareness to like the success these people already have. But yeah, it's cool.
So what is like your ultimate goal, you would say? What is like your definition of success? And where would you want to be? The ideal place for you?
My ultimate goal of success would be... Well, like I eventually would love to either be working on feature films or like really be able to like have my own business, like doing videos or like have my own production studio, whether it's something big or something small, but being able to like sustain, being able to do videos for people or for companies, like, and that be my job was like, I don't have to work another job to like support me and then doing this on the side, like being able to do that be my full-time job. That's like the ultimate goal where if I can get there, I'll really be like, oh yeah. And I mean, like just be comfortable. And it's not about making millions of dollars. It's just being able to like do that and like be comfortable doing that and not have to like work another job to support me while I do that. Where like sometimes I feel burnt out because it's like I'm working the 9 to 5 and I'm doing stuff on the weekends or this and that. So that would be like really successful. That's when I'll be like, oh yeah, I made it. Because I'm really just doing, and I pretty much am like I get paid to like make videos all day, which is crazy. But it's just like but then now the next phase of that would be making the videos I like, not automated videos I want to make, and then still getting paid for that like on a regular basis. So yeah, for me that's what it would be.
Interesting. So you said like you would want to work for a feature film, like that's also a goal, right?
Yeah.
Like a big, so it was funny. I was just speaking with this girl who wanted to, she was auditioning for acting roles and stuff. And while we were talking, we just I came up with the idea that because that was something I was doing, I wanted to kind of reach this one person, and instead of reaching that one person directly, which would be difficult, I would reach everyone around them, whoever's working for them,
Yeah.
to kind of get to them. So
Mm-hmm.
when I have some sort of credibility when I get to that one person, right? So I spoke with her, and we were discussing about, like, she wanted to connect with producers, right? Like people who kind of get you in on the door. So for you, that would be people who would get you into on the feature film, right? And now
Yep.
that you're doing the podcast is so great, you could connect with everyone. Like, think about like these people that are doing feature films, like who are the main people, and figure out who their friends are, who their like workers are, interns are, whatever, and just connect with them and invite them on a
Uh,
podcast and like just kind of build a relationship. So you get through that door to that one person who can get you on that feature film.
we can get you in. Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Right?
Yeah. I think right now I'm trying to I'm very much like making myself aware of who those people are, so that just I kind of know what they're doing, I know what they're into, and then I'm just trying to build up my own like repertoire of things that I've done outside of just Vayner,
Yeah.
just so that like now when I go to them, like I'm ready to be like, hey, like here's me, here's Staphon, here's what I've been doing, here's what I've done, and like I'm ready to like go in and like learn and like really be a part of it. So yeah, but no, for sure, like I'm definitely got my eyes to the like, all right, cool, that person, like this person, I love like I have like Christopher Nolan is my favorite director, so I'm definitely like always paying attention to what he's doing. Like I realize that like he uses the same people for like all his movies. So I'm like, all right, cool. How do I become like? All right, it's these same people. It's not like one-offs, but it's like, all right, I use this producer for this movie, but another producer for that movie, another director of photography for that movie. It's like the same people. So it's like, all right, cool. He's consistent. So it's like, all right, cool. How do I reach these people? What are these people into? Yeah, exactly what you said. Just kind of getting to know everybody else in your circle. So yeah, no, that's amazing.
And where do you have like your work? Because I do not see a lot of your work on Instagram. Do you have like some page or some website where people can see your work?
Yeah, so like I have a Vimeo that has some of my work, but then now I'm like in the process of like really just kind of like wiping my Instagram and just really making it just my work, because that's where everybody goes to look for it. And like really just like, yeah, it was like really this year where I'm like, and like actually doing more work that I like would actually want people to see. Because now I'm like looking back at stuff I did and I was like, oh, it felt good then.
Yeah, but it's
like,
good because then you can see the progression from something not so great to something great, right?
And then that's me just having to get out of my own head. Because like there's people feel like, yeah, we just want to. It's fine. We just want to see like how you got better. I'm like, no, you don't want to see that one.
Yeah,
but not really like redo my Instagram so that it's just not pictures and that it's like really like it becomes like my resume. It's coming soon. You're on the lookout for it.
Yeah, it's okay. Like take your time and stuff. It's all good. I was thinking like even though if you'll have your work put in there, like you could have clips of yourself speaking as well, right? Like Gary speaks about building your personal brand and kind of sharing your thoughts and opinions. So when someone kind of lands on your page, they see your work obviously, but then they see who you are as a person and they kind of connect with you for that. I feel like that is something that would really make you stand out, because there will be a lot of filmmakers. Obviously, you'll be great, but what would be the differentiator factors when, like, people can see you or listen to your thoughts or listen to your perspective, that they would really connect with you, therefore they would want to work with you. You know what I'm saying?
That's super true. That's like, you just helped me out, because like I've never really thought about, like I was like, oh, I was just thinking, all right, cool, let them see the work. But yeah, that's like a super simple, but yeah, I never even thought about it. It's just like kind of like making myself a part of the work so that they kind of connect with me.
Like,
more
yes,
than just
your work is, it's a defining factor for you, but then it's also, like, I'm talking to you, right? Like, you're a dope person. And even if I find someone better at filmmaking, I would want to work with you, because it's so much about relationships than
it's
something
a
else.
relationship. Yeah, most people are buying into people versus like the
Buying
project.
into people, exactly. So don't think a lot. I know work because you want it to really define you, so you put in so much of effort into filmmaking. But, like a selfie style video, just sharing about what you're going through. Like, I really want to build up my Instagram and my last video sucked. I'm going to do better and just things like that, right? It's funny because people will relate to it. And I feel like all that would add so much meaning to your work. While I'm watching it would be so meaningful than like just kind of watching a really like well-produced video. You know what I'm saying?
That's smart. Well, now I know what I'm doing this weekend. Now I know what I'm doing this weekend. Besides going to see Us, I will also be going to Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad.
Cool. No.
Go for it,
Yeah.
dude.
That
Like
was.
you're dope as hell. Like that's what Gary says. I thought like why would people watch me? Why would they listen to me? But now that I'm talking with people, I feel like all of us just have this image in our head, like, I'm boring, like who cares what I have to say. But then when you speak with other people, you actually get to know that you're so interesting. And you've worked for like Gary and things like that. You've so much to speak about and all these experiences that you've been through. So it's gonna add so much meaning. Like
Yeah.
just credibility and all sorts of things.
Cool. All right. You know what? You just I'll send you. Just send me your invoice for your consultation services, and I'll make sure I send that over. No, that's smart.
And
No,
if you
really,
do
thank
that,
you
then
for
I
that.
would love to like kind of collab with you. Like we should make an Instagram video where we collab and like the one of the ideas that I had was everyone I'm speaking to, right? Like everyone's kind of in the same industry of building their personal brand to either get clients or to either get like customers or whatever, right? Or for me, like just kind of building up reputation to get more opportunities. So the main thing for us is instead of calling them followers, it's like attention, like how Gary says, right? Like the more the attention, the more the opportunity. And if I have 1,000 followers, and if the next person has 1,000 followers, instead of me getting from like 1,000 to 100, if I collab with them, it's like 1,000 to like two potentially, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
if I'm meeting 7 people, that's like, I'm not saying, but like just to give you an idea, right? Instead of like going
Yeah.
from one to one, I go from like kind of exponentially grow and
Yeah.
do things like that. And once I'm increasing my followers or whatever, the next person I meet with gets that increased followers. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah. No, I get it. It's yeah. It's like not using, but like
Just kind
because
of
we're
like
all using, like you said, you're
leveraging
dealing with
other
like
people's
yeah.
time and
Exactly.
resources, right?
Exactly.
And which is like good for the
Exactly.
both of you because it's not like just I'm getting something, like the other person
Yeah.
gets this as well. So it's like
It's
value
a group
exchange.
thing
So right,
for
so
sure.
if you start producing content and then we can collab and my followers could kind of come to you and your followers come to me. So all this content that you're creating is for people to you already have like people to watch, but then like more and just kind of
More.
like
No, I mean,
doing
hey,
that
no,
sort of
who
thing.
doesn't want more people to be interested in what they're doing?
Right?
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's super cool. Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm down. That sounds good. That
And
sounds
you're
good.
a
So yeah.
filmmaker. Like, would you have some advice for me? Because now I'm trying to do video, and it took me so much time to study iMovie and just kind of like edit my videos. But I
Hmm.
don't know. I do like the most cliche things, like bring the text up from there and like add sparkles and shit like that. But nothing crazy. So, I mean, would you have some advice of like how can I improve or do whatever?
I mean, I think the most cliche advice is to just do more of it. You know, because an interesting thing about film is that it's so subjective because it's like cool, you may think it's corny, but at least there's 1,000 people who love the quote unquote corny look, and
Yeah.
it's like all right, cool, because it's like all right, it's so subjective. Everybody like what you may like when you watch videos or movies or TV is different from what I would like. Is different from the next person, so it's like you can
Yeah.
always create like your own niche. It doesn't have to be where you reach millions. You can reach 100,000
Yeah.
people. There's so many people in this world that it's like you can find a group of people that like what you like. But I mean, on the technical side, it's just like especially with today, you can shoot stuff on your iPhone and
Yeah, I'm
just
shooting stuff on iPhone. I have nothing else.
no, which is fine because iPhone cameras are like I was doing stuff like that, especially like when iPhone's cameras really started getting better, like really good. I would just to test it out, just kind of like shoot like a little 10, 15-second video that I shoot on my iPhone, just go out to the park and just shoot leaves or shoot people playing and just put some like fun little music behind it. You know what I'm saying? It can be anything. And you really go out. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's like really like the most simple thing, just so that you get used to, you get comfortable, you get familiar with iMovie if that's what you're using, and then once you kind of feel comfortable with iMovie, then you maybe it's like all right, cool, yeah, I want to like upgrade to like the next kind of software, the next editing software, and like take what I learned from iMovie and take it into this next one and be able to like just elevate what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now the simplest thing is like before you gotta crawl before you walk, before you run. So it's like not trying to run too soon, and just really just be cool doing like the the text coming in from the side, the sparkles, and all of that, and just really like go in. And that's the thing, like you learn all the things that it can do by doing all of the corny stuff.
Yeah.
Like, like you try that effect that you're like, I would never probably do that. I've never seen this in like a real movie, but like I'm gonna throw it on there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like you try it because you never know. You could be doing something one day and somebody asks for that very effect. You might think that that's corny, but it's like, oh, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it really is just like going out and just shooting the small things, and then it's like you'll just build. It'll become, and then it'll become muscle memory. Like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. Oh, that was cool. Let me just take out my phone and shoot that. That's funny because anybody who's like really starting out, anybody who's asked me who's like starting on video, that's usually like their thing that they think it's like some like technical thing, and it's really like no, it's like go out and just shoot stuff. And then just put it together. And the thing is, you're shooting it for you, so nobody can tell you like, oh no, don't do it this way. Oh no, that's wrong. I mean, technically, there might be things you could do to maybe go faster or whatever. But it's like, as far as like liking it, you're doing it for you. So it's like there is nobody over your shoulder like or telling you like, no, take this part out, put that part in. I want this part to be 3 seconds longer, make this 4 seconds shorter.
Yeah,
it's only you. So it's like, which is even better. So you just have fun with it.
And where do you feel like you learned the most in filmmaking? Was it in school, or was it doing, or was it YouTube videos?
It's been doing and YouTube. I feel like school was cool.
School's trash. School.
It was cool for the connection. It's cool for the people that I met.
Yeah.
Which is what I hear more. Like I've had friends who've like gone to NYU film school, who are like, the most important thing I learned from there is like the people I've met, and now I'm like paying off of these bills for the rest of my life. Like school. I mean, school is good for certain things. Like, cool, I can't learn how to be a doctor on YouTube. I can't learn how to be a lawyer on YouTube. Or maybe I could, but I don't know. But I have no interest in doing it. But I feel like, yes, for that, you might need school. But like for creative stuff, especially nowadays, it's like doing it is because, like I said before, everything is so subjective. And like you create your own style. You almost create your own style when you don't know. Because you're not trying to emulate anything. Yeah. You're just like, I'm just trying to make it where I'm okay looking at it. And then it's like, and it's like, and then you end up stumbling on something that people were like, oh no, I like that. So like when me and my friend started the podcast, we started it being like, we just kind of like talk on pop culture things. And then we were like, that's cool. But then it was like, we started doing episodes where it's more like, we got more personal, or we just started talking about things more like personal things than just, what happened in pop culture. And then those episodes tend to do better. That's what we hear more of a response. So it's kind of just like, you start out doing it and then you adjust as you go.
Yeah. How long has it been since you guys started your podcast? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good.
How long has it been since you guys started your podcast?
We started it January 1st.
January 1st.
So, yeah.
And how's that? Are you enjoying it?
I am. At first, like, and I realized how, because like I said, I'm very to myself. I'm kind of like more of an introvert, just kind of like keep my thoughts to myself. Yeah. And doing a podcast has like helped me to really step outside of that. That's really what the biggest thing is, just because it's now like I'm sharing how I feel about things to like anybody who decides to listen. And it's just making me, and like, before like our first episode, we were like, all right, cool, we'll just try to get to like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. We like barely got to it, and it was like, all right, cool. You could see it, like, it's just like, it's that progression. Like, it's like, all right, you see, like, we're trying. And then now, like, we just recorded one last night, and it's like 2 hours. And we like looked up, and we were like, oh, snap. Like, because now it's just like, we're just comfortable. Yeah. We're just talking. And it's like, you talk about stuff that like you're talking to with your close friends all the time. But now, and it's just like, and it's like that kind of stuff. But it's like you realize how many people can relate or have similar feelings, like thoughts. And like, so like, me and him will get like DMs from people who like listen to it and like, oh yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And it's like kind of reassuring, like, all right, cool, we're doing this. Even if it's for one person who listens, Like it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Somebody's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you have your
Yeah.
podcast up on where?
So we did it through Anchor. Just that was like the simplest thing, and they distribute it to like Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Stitcher and all the other ones.
I'm still
we
trying to
just
figure
started.
that out. I don't know how that works. All I'm doing is like uploading it on YouTube. It's
Yeah.
so complicated for me. I still like kind of
Oh
take
no,
time to-
yes, it's like well, like that's the thing, and I'm like, we don't do video, but like we might actually start. You're just teaching me everything right now. We might actually start trying to do it through here, because it's strictly audio. Because he's in Pennsylvania and I'm in Jersey, so like we can't really meet up every week to do it because of our schedules.
You got Skype.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, but yeah, it's really not hard. Like once you just kind of go in and record. You hit record and you kind of call people in.
Yeah.
And once they pick up the phone, like the conversation starts.
Yeah.
And it's basically like how we're doing now. Or you just talk, and then once you're done, you hit it, and then you upload it. I mean, it's already there. It's like kind of saved to your library, and then it uploads to all of these platforms.
Have you been able to get like a lot of viewers and stuff on it?
It's like a decent amount. I mean, from doing nothing to like having, like, we average about anywhere from 30 to 40 people that listen.
That's good.
Yeah, which is like surprising to me because I'm like, who are these people that want to listen every week? But no, it's cool. And then we had one episode that we had like 1,500 people listen to.
Really?
And we were like, I was trying to figure out why, like what. So and I could not figure it out. Like it was just like a big jump. I just chalked it up to like maybe we got featured on like Anchor's, like maybe like their homepage or like new podcast or something. Because it was like a huge. I was like, at first I thought it was a glitch, so I was like, oh, it's a glitch. I was like, I'm gonna reset it and it'll go back to normal. And then no, like the number is still there. So I was like, I don't know, but I wasn't around when Gary, like the thing about Gary that really is crazy to me is like how he started one library. Like very few people watched. He did the one show on Conan or Ellen or something like that, and then it's just like, then he skyrocketed. So it's like, all right, cool. That's like kind of motivation because it's like, all right, you know what? Yeah, cool. Some people have the instant success, and even that's not super instant because they've usually been working in the back end.
Yes,
before
absolutely.
Who they were. So yeah, it's just kind of, which is like always good. It's just good motivation to like, just really be grateful for anybody who's listening. If it's one, that's what I'm saying. Like if it's one person, like yeah, cool. You've done 7 podcasts. If only people who listen are the people who are on the podcast, that's 7 people who no idea who you were before, who now are like on the lookout for what you do, because it's like you said, or like we talked about earlier, they just invest. And you're invested in like you, or you're invested in me, and you're invested in the people. It's like a thing now. It's not even about the podcast show or whatever. It's like, all right, no, cool. Devika's up to something. I don't know what it is, but she's super cool. I just want to see what it's about.
Yeah. I see. Cool. Yeah, that's what the thing about videos, right? Like you just need like one video to hit, and then kind of everyone gravitates towards your page. And then what you will do with your Instagram and everything, which is creating content for yourself and your work, and therefore you would be able to kind of promote your podcast to it because you just don't know who sees it, You don't know who vibes with you, and you just need that one viewer, right? Like Gary says, it's not about how many views, but it's about what if your one viewer is like Obama, right? Like your life is completely different.
Sure.
So just things like that. And I feel like with the internet, it gives us so much opportunity. Like anything is possible. So yeah, that keeps me going as well. I'm like, there are 20 people watching, but then, well, it's better than 0.
Exactly. That's the one person who, because at the end of the day, every human being is a human being. So that one person is no different than if Obama watched it or if Joe down the street watched it. It's like that's the person who decided to like take time out of their day to watch it. So just being grateful.
So is there something that you would want to talk about, that you would want to share? Anything that's on your mind? Anything you would want to say to the world?
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just kind of, it's so cliche, but it's just like, really once you find like what your thing is, or like really being okay, like stepping out of your shell. Because I'm still learning. There's some days where like a week, so I'm like, I don't want to do the podcast today. Like I'm cool just like not talking, but it's like really just like having to like push myself to be like, no, it's like or like I'm like, nobody's really, like the last podcast, we didn't have that many people listen. We didn't really get too much feedback. So I'm not gonna do it this week. But then like really just being programming myself to like I'm doing it for more than just that one episode. I'm doing it to like really build, and I'm doing it for me to like really step outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So it's like really pushing people, and it doesn't have to be like crazy. You don't have to go from like being super quiet to now trying to give a speech to 30,000 people.
Yeah.
Like it can just
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be crazy, but it's like if you're like super introverted and it's just like all right, cool, just like have a conversation with one new person a month.
Yeah.
You know, a month.
Yeah.
And that will lead to something, and that will lead to like, all right, cool, that wasn't bad. All right, cool, I'll try it again. I'll try to do 2 people this month, and then you'll look up, and then you'll start to see, and it doesn't change, not to try to change who you are, but just to kind of push yourself a little bit. So that's kind of like really like the mindset I'm on, just for myself. It's just like, all right, you know, not just saying I'm going to do things different, but really doing them different. So if I could tell people anything, it's just to really like hold yourself to that standard, or like hold yourself accountable to like really do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's super dope.
That's cool.
It really resonated with me because I had such a huge thing of I wanted to do YouTube, I wanted to create stuff, but I always thought like I look weird and I don't have anything to say. And it took me almost a year to just get over that. And it was so much of just consuming Gary. He's like, are you actually going to let what you want to accomplish in the future, which is so big, to something so small as like how you look or you think you're boring or things like that? And like just pick up the camera and start filming. And once I got over of how I felt like, you know, I have so much to offer as a person than how I look, it was one of the most liberating feelings. And now I don't think twice when speaking to someone or like just when filming a video. It's so cool, and I'm able to like kind of share my failures and the little successes that I'm finding. So I get it. Like I started holding myself to a higher standard and pushing myself like from like just what we're doing every day. You know?
Yeah. So that's like kind of like the most liberating thing. It's like when you realize, all right, cool, I'm doing this. I'm pushing myself. So it's like it's not even about who watches or who doesn't watches or like what people have to say. It's like, now I'm doing this for me to like take me to the next level. Because then once you get to that level, like all of it was worth it. It becomes worth it. Yeah. So it's like seeing it. So for that. So yeah, that would kind of be. That's cool. Yeah, we're like on the same wavelength with that. Yeah.
So quickly, tell me like what were a couple of things that really impacted of who you became as a person, like whether it's like in music wise, artist or a movie or a book or a person.
Well, I remember in high school, like, because like I was a kind of in school, I was definitely the kid that like never, when you got the assignments where you had to like read the book and do the assignment, I was the kid that never read the book.
Yeah.
Because like, I was like, I don't want to read it. Like, is there a movie I can watch on it? Like, like, yeah. But this like one of the only books I ever read that I actually read was 1984 by I think it was George Orwell, something like that. But it was about, you know, it was like the whole idea of like the Big Brother and like the government watching, really stepping out of like the norm and like doing things differently and not being locked into like the regulations of like the system kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like super relevant even now, just kind of like, and not even necessarily like a bad regulation, but you just get so locked into the day to day or like the norm of things, and it's like you look up and you're like, oh, dag, I forgot to do something different today. Or do something different this year. I like really spent the year, and that's kind of like, so that's like that like really had an effect on me now. Even now, I'm thinking about it now because it's so relevant. I think I've just always been a fan of just like movies. Like, even when I was a kid, like I didn't really watch cartoons. Like I was like 4 or 5 years old watching like full on like movies, like really like. Yeah, so like
that's intense at that age watching movies.
Yeah, it's like I kind of get envious when people talk about like the Saturday morning cartoons and all this stuff and all the cartoons. Like I just wasn't really into it. It was sports and movies. That was pretty much it for me.
So what would be like your favorite top 3 movies?
Dark Knight, Inception, Shutter Island.
Shutter Island was so dark.
It's dark, but it's one of those movies. I love a movie that makes you really think, because you didn't know. You're like, okay, is he really crazy? Is he really a cop? Is he not a cop? Like, is he a patient? Like, you didn't know. And then you go back and you watch it again, and you're like, now you're watching it because you're watching it to see all of the things that made you think he was a cop. But like, he was a cop. Now you're like, oh no, he was a patient,
Yeah.
and they were like watching him and this and that, and then you're like, oh my god. Like, I mean, it's like you watch a whole movie from one perspective, and then you realize you should have been watching it from a different perspective, and then you go back and watch it, and then you see every little single thing that you missed. I love movies like that, which is why I love Inception, which is why I love The Dark Knight.
Yeah, they're also like similar on the same like tangent. So did you like understand what was the plot of Shutter Island? Because I still don't know like who was he?
So watching it the first time, it makes you think that Leonardo is you think he's a cop trying to catch this killer that was on the island.
Yeah.
But it turns out that I'm getting confused because Inception was the one where his wife framed him for the murder.
Yeah.
Shutter Island was the one. Shutter Island was
he was trying to rescue a friend or something who was in an island who was caught or something.
There was like an extra. They were looking for
some person.
This. Well, the main idea was just like the overall was that the doctor was trying to like do an experiment to try to show him that like he was a patient. He was the patient.
Really?
Who killed he was the patient. So Leo was the patient, and like the doctor did this whole experiment where he made him believe he was the cop in hopes that he would like realize that like he would basically admit to what he's done. Like he would realize, like he would play it out, and at the end he would come to the conclusion that, oh, I'm the one that was doing it. But he was so caught up in believing that he was the cop that like he never really. So even when they told him like no, like they showed him the evidence, like no, you are the killer, like you're the one, and he made it. And then like they laid it out for him plain as day. But he was so consumed with thinking he was the cop now that he didn't believe that he did it. So then it was like the experiment basically failed because it was like, all right, cool, we'll run this experiment, make him think he's the cop. All of the evidence will prove to like, oh, I actually did this. But now he believed that like they were setting him up and that he really was a cop, and now he was trying to find the way out. So yeah, which is like a crazy concept. So I was like, oh, I love it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was like I had no opinions. Like my brain stopped working after watching that movie. It was insane.
Well, so that's a great movie, but it's like it makes you think, and you're like you leave it like having questions, but good questions.
Yeah. Not
like questions like that ending was, why did they end it like that, or that was stupid and I hate it and I would never want to watch it again. It's more like, all right, I need to watch it again for like all of these things that I missed. So yeah.
So like last thing, like what about like your music? Like what's your music preference? Who's your favorite artist?
Love hip hop and R&B. More R&B than hip hop, but both right now. But my favorite artist right now is J. Cole. Yeah, he's like number one for me. Like anything he's doing, I'm like looking around the corner, like yes, I'm excited. But I can listen to a lot of different kind of music. Like I have phases where like I'll be super hip hop one day, then I'll be super R&B, I'll be super like pop, I'll be super just like classical or just like smooth jazz kind of feel. Yeah. Like I'm very like like I'm very just kind of like all over the place with it. But yeah, those are like the only. I tried it, I gave it a shot, but only music I can't do is country music. It's I gave it a shot. I really tried. But it's just not for me.
You're the second person who said that to me. Like people who like kind of are slightly into hip hop, like just can't do. Like even regular people can't do country music. It really is a whole different genre of its own.
Yeah, you really gotta just be born in it and really love it. That's like I can't.
Yeah. You've heard about this artist? He's not like up and coming anymore. He's like already kind of big. His name is Roddy Ricch. You heard of him? You have to. He's amazing. He just did this song with Marshmello, and he did one song with Nipsey Hussle, and like he's just he's just amazing. And I've been like music really keeps me going, and I know how much this guy's like music's kind of like get me going. It's amazing. You should listen to him.
I just found him. Cool. I'll like check him out.
And one of the I think so his best songs I feel like is Down Below. It's amazing. It kind of speaks about his journey or whatever, and when you feel like no one's watching your podcast, that's when you listen to that song and you feel like everyone's been through that shit, so it's super cool.
Got it. All right, yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so sorry I hit you up like 30 minutes before. It's of the time difference. I'm speaking with
No, 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 no.
everyone who's from a different time difference, and it's so difficult to calculate my time and their time, and it's just the
No, I
funniest.
get it. What time is it there?
It's 2:50 in the morning.
In the morning?
Yeah.
All right, well, no, go sleep.
Yeah.
Or something.
No, I like just edit all night and then I'll like sleep. That's how the schedule's been, because all the podcasts are kind of late at night, because it's how the time difference thing is. But thank you so much for coming. You were amazing. And I genuinely can't wait to see where you go. And I'll be waiting on your Instagram to see how you come up with it.
Yeah, you just challenged me now. I just put it out to the public, so no, I gotta do it now. I can't not do it.
And then we collab and do all of that. So like just kind of get a little momentum of kind of try to get comfortable with doing videos or whatever. And then I'll hit you up, and then we can do a little collab, and I'll transfer my audience to you. You can transfer them to me or whatever. And that's how we go about it, right?
Sounds good.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Cool. Good luck to you, whatever you're trying to accomplish. Can't wait to see what you have to offer. All right.
You too.
Have a great day.
Get some sleep.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye.
She wanna spend the night, but she can't spend the night. She wanna be my wife, but she can't be my wife. She said she hate when I go. She want me to stay. Wish I didn't have to leave so soon. It's too late. I'm already on the first flight out to the door. My phone doesn't work.